And welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. Apparently there's a new Harry Potter being made. It's a stage production, but it has the approval of J.K. Rowling. It's considered part of Harry Potter canon. It is more Harry Potter, of him and Hermione and Ron in, their middle age. It's more adventures of their characters. And I find that surprising because I'd always thought that when Harry Potter ended with the Deathly Hallows, that was it. You'd never see anymore. And I always thought that J.K. Rowling might have been, the kind of writer, producer, creator that had thought, okay, I've told the story I want to tell. I'm not going to do anymore. It's over. Unfortunately, we live in a world where nothing is really allowed to end or die anymore, so stuff comes back, like Star Wars Episode 7. And so I was just thinking, okay, how long till we see more Harry Potter? I mean, I think it's probably inevitable. And lo and behold, it's now happening. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. It reminds me of something I heard years ago where John Cleese had been approached many, many times to do more Fawlty Towers. Apparently they throw buckets of money at him to bring it to the US or to try something out. And in all the interviews I'd read at the time, John Cleese had said, nope, thank you, I'm done. I've told the story I want to tell. I'm not doing any more. I'm finished. No more Fawlty Towers. And then I was thinking about that recently, and I remembered there was actually a spin-off or an American version of Fawlty Towers that was made back in the 80s. And I saw it back in the 80s for the very brief time that it was on TV. So I thought, well, let's do a little show about it, or let's talk about it in an episode. So let's bring that one up. And here is that show. It's called Amanda's. It's based on Amanda's by the Sea, the actual name of the hotel. Beatrice Arthur stars in it, a bunch of other folks. It has a very obvious Manuel ripoff. The sets are practically the same. And it's, as you can expect, the sort of storylines that would occur in Fawlty Towers. In fact, as I'm about to show you, quite a lot of things that happened in Fawlty Towers happened in Amanda's. So that's kind of what I'm going to do, a little comparison video. Now, as I'm showing you these, I also thought I'd point out that John Cleese did actually once consider writing a sequel to Fawlty Towers as a film, maybe? It sounded weird as I read about it, though. Apparently, Manuel had started up a hotel, and Basil and Sybil were going to fly over to Spain to see what the hotel was like. The airplane gets hijacked, and Basil was going to be the hero, but he was angry that they had to go back to the U.S., and so he hijacks the plane to go to Spain. I don't know. It sounded weird, and I thought, really? So even John Cleese has considered reboots or remakes and sequels to Fawlty Towers itself. Surprising. One final note, and this also parallels, before we start looking at these comparisons, one other little thing. When I mentioned that Harry Potter has got a sequel on stage, guess what's happening in Australia? There is actually a Fawlty Towers sequel on stage. So, yeah, this sort of stuff apparently has been going on all the time. And let's see some examples from Amanda's.
Well, might I suggest that you introduce such a scheme?
No.
The Hotel Inspector episode.
I have a wide experience of hotels, and some of those of my acquaintance have had the foresight to introduce this facility for the benefit of their guests.
No, I see you have a wide experience of hotels.
Yes, in my professional activities, I am in constant contact with them.
Are you? Are you really?
Yes. Well then, is it possible for me?
I mean, that's what we love about Basil, but it then translates not very well.
Have you the facility to hire a television set to one of your guests?
Good point. I'm glad you asked me that. Not as such.
Not only did I make a reservation, I had my magazine called to confirm it.
I'm sure. Your magazine.
That's right.
And your work takes you to over 100 hotels a year.
Oh, right. Stupid me. I completely forgot that room 101 is about to open up.
9? Room 9?
Room 7.
So we've got the suitcase joke.
Room 7, please.
Okay.
He thinks Boff is a locale.
He thinks what?
You know, some zone, some province in equatorial Turkey.
Classic.
Aldo, please take our charming and distinguished guests up to room 102. Distinguished guests, 102. Huh? You'll have to excuse him. He's from Toronto.
Yeah, I'm from Canada. That's not that funny.
I'm afraid most of the people we get in here don't know a Bordeaux from a carrot.
Bordeaux is a carrot.
Oh, Bordeaux is a carrot, yes, but they wouldn't know that.
You know, people who know the difference between a claret and a Bordeaux.
A claret is a Bordeaux.
But out.
At least it's the other way around. Even the fire joke.
No!
That's simply our chef preparing his famous hickory smoked catch of the day. There is no fire.
I paid for a view. I expect something more interesting than that.
That is Torquay, madam.
It's not good enough.
Well, may I ask what you were expecting to see out of a Torquay hotel bedroom window? Sydney Opera House, perhaps? The hanging gardens of Babylon? Herds of wildebeest sweeping majestically?
I expect to be able to see the sea.
You can see the sea. It's over there between the land and the sky.
I need a telescope to see that.
I am displeased with my view. All I can see out of my window is trees.
But what did you expect to see out of a window in California? The Eiffel Tower? Or perhaps Krakatoa erupting?
What I expect to see, Mrs. Cartwright, is a view of the ocean.
Well, maybe you didn't notice it. It's that big blue thing between the land and the sky.
I know what it looks like. I just can't see it, because Amanda's by the Sea is not by the sea.
So that's Amanda's, the Fawlty Towers reboot for the United States market back in the 80s. Now, all of these episodes are viewable on YouTube. The picture quality is not stellar. It's obviously some old recording off a videotape that somebody has digitized, and it's watchable. As part of that same group of stored episodes on YouTube, there's actually an interview with Beatrice Arthur from 10 or 15 years ago, and they touch on Amanda's, the series. In fairness, the later episodes don't recycle Fawlty Towers jokes. It actually did eventually learn its own sort of cadence, got its own kind of jokes going. It wasn't a particularly stellar show, though, and Beatrice Arthur actually talks about that. She had been very excited to do a Fawlty Towers show. She wanted to be the Basil Fawlty part, but because what's interesting is in that period of her career, she was saying in this interview, she was mostly just getting Maude roles. I mean, she was looking at some of the stuff going, that's exactly the kind of stuff Maude would say. I want something different. So when she saw the Fawlty Towers with John Cleese and heard they were making this show, she thought, oh great, I'll be a wife and I'll be the bumbling idiot and my significant other will be the one who keeps things under control. And they changed a lot. They made her significant other her son and his wife. And she found that she wasn't really playing much of a role, much of a character. And it did start to lose a lot of its momentum. She wasn't very happy in the role, and it kind of shows through, not in her performance, but just the writing got very lazy, and it's no surprise it only lasted a dozen odd episodes. However, it makes for some interesting viewing if you're a Fawlty Towers fan, and let's be honest, who isn't? It's kind of fascinating to see. They actually tried to reboot it or remake it for the Western, or for the United States audience. So, if nothing else, it's something kind of intriguing to watch. So yeah, I just thought I'd touch on Amanda's from the 80s, the Fawlty Towers reboot, remake, what have you. And I was also very surprised to find out there had been other attempts as well. Just as a little side note, that Tim Curry, Annie Potts one from the 90s, apparently Steve Carell was in the role of Manuel in that version that I don't think ever really aired, but it's interesting how many times this show has been attempted. So anyway, just in case you're ever wondering, are things ever like finished, finalized, never to be seen again? No, things get rebooted and remade all the time apparently. So there we go. And until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.